What's good, y'all? It's your boy, Spider 3.0, keeping the action going with the Marvel Legends Spider-Man Retro card, Tombstone. Alright, man, so getting into it, full review time. Alright, so this is a very nice figure. I did have a chance to play around and, pose him a little bit. Um, I'll just start off by saying the nicest thing about this figure is definitely the paint job. I think the paint on this guy looks very, very nice. This is definitely one of those better Hasbro Marvel Legends. It's crazy how inconsistent they can be sometimes because some of their figures when it comes to the paint it just looks really really bad. But this is not one of those cases. This guy is definitely a very nice, very well painted figure, and I think that's what stands out the most. He definitely has a very nice aesthetic right off the bat, and it's going to make him look very nice on a shelf or wherever you decide to display him. So that's what stood out to me the most, what grabbed my attention. Right away when I saw him at Frankenstein's, I was like, ooh, the paint on him looks really really nice. And yeah, that definitely made me want to buy him. Now, is all the other stuff worth it? Well, we'll find out in the review, so stay tuned. But first, we got to get him on the rotating display base, all right? So we can get a nice 360 look. So, gonna move him real quick. Slide the display base back. Right here, the rotating turntable. And put him front and center with all his accessories, and we'll get him turning now. Alright, so you can get your 360 look. And yeah, front to back, like I said, the paint on this guy, very, very nice, very clean. He's got a nice, mostly matte finish. I would say his main suit for the body, like the torso and the back, is definitely done in like a very matte finish, very low gloss, like hardly any gloss at all. And then the arms, I would say maybe have just like a slightly more glossy finish, maybe like a satin finish, but I mean overall it does blend in very nice. And I like that. It definitely gives the overall figure a premium look, having that kind of matte finish, very low, very little to no gloss at all. The glossiest things on him would probably have to be his shoes, which is obviously appropriate because leather shoes do tend to look glossy like that, right? Kind of give it that fancy look. And yeah, those are definitely the glossiest things on him. Everything else is done in a pretty nice matte or flat finish, which is really nice. Doesn't reflect too much light, and yeah, just keeps him from having that cheaper look. So definitely a nice thing as far as the paint job goes. But yeah, we'll get him rotating around here, maybe one more full time, and then we'll take him off and take a closer look. So let's get one last rotation in, and we'll go ahead and stop him right here. All right, so taking him off, move this to the side for a minute, and bringing in Tombstone. So yeah, nice Tombstone. They did have another Tombstone release before this guy that came out years ago. I think he was part of the Spider-Man Homecoming Build-A-Figure wave. I think he came with like one of the pieces for Vulture's wings, the movie Vulture. So that one was definitely, I think, ironically, I think that one actually looked more like the Spider-Man animated series Tombstone. This one looks more like a comic Tombstone because in the comics, a lot of times you do see him in his suit like this. He's got the more businessman type of look in the comics. Deadly businessman, right? But yeah, that older figure I think definitely looked more like the animated 90s Spider-Man show. He had like the black jacket. I think it was like a leather jacket, and it was kind of zipped down so you could like see his chest. The nose on him definitely looked a little more exaggerated. It was more like a vampire type of nose, and the skin tone was one of the main differences. It was done in a more like light blue color, which definitely is reminiscent of the 90s Spider-Man show. This guy is done in basically like a grayish white color. And Tombstone has been portrayed both ways in the comics and the game. Sometimes he's like a, pale kind of gray or white color like this. And then sometimes he's in like a light blue. I think I prefer the light blue a little bit more just because that's what I was exposed to first you know, why I grew up on the '90s, you know, cartoons, so I was used to seeing Tombstone as like a light blue color. But you know, when I do see him, you know, in like the gray or like, you know, this color basically, it doesn't look bad to me. You know, it doesn't throw me off too much. And I think, you know, technically it does make sense because, you know, if you think like Tombstone, you think of like a headstone or something in a graveyard. You know, you're thinking like a gray kind of color, and then, you know, Tombstone just sounds like, you know, he's like the Walking Dead, right? So he's not gonna have like a lot of color or like life to his skin. So this color I think definitely makes sense, given, you know, his name and his character. But yeah, I don't know. It fluctuates. You know, sometimes I think this color looks really cool, and then other times I prefer the light blue. But yeah, I think both colors actually work for him overall, so that's pretty cool. And I like the fact that he does at least have the accents of blue going out throughout his fit. So he's got the you know, blue undershirt, which is very nicely detailed, by the way. Looks really good. The striped under, you know, the dress shirt underneath the suit, under the blazer, looks really good. The tie as well, really nice sculpt to it. And then even the blue pocket hanky that he has, I really like that. That's really cool. He's got some blue, you know, for like you can see the blue of his undershirt poking out around the cuff area around his wrist, which is really nice. And it also has that line work continued there, which looks really, really nice. Love that. Paintwork is very clean for those lines, so I do like that a whole lot. And yeah, just overall, this guy's aesthetic is very, very good. Really, really like how Hasbro handled this one. I wish more of their figures looked like this. But you know, obviously Hasbro tends to have, you know, consistency issues. But yeah, overall, really, really nice looking figure, man. I love the wrinkles in the jacket and the pants. Gives it a very nice, realistic look. Got that line kind of going down the middle of his back there for the jacket, but yeah, very, very cool stuff. And the joints don't look too distracting, you know. They're, being that he's in all black, the joints are pretty nicely hidden. The cuts don't stick out, you know, in like odd ways. So that's a really nice touch. But yeah, overall he looks really good. I think his overall stature as well, like his proportions, his presence looks really good. I think, you know, the body looks very good in proportion to like his head. He's got some, you know, you can tell he definitely has like muscle right underneath the jacket. Nice sculpt for the shoulders, the biceps. You know, the overall musculature looks pretty good. Tombstone isn't like the biggest guy, but he's definitely, you know, he's got some muscle to him for sure. He's definitely somebody that I would say looks imposing, and you know, I would say most of the time he's drawn a little bit bigger than Spider-Man, which I think is appropriate. You know, this is like a full-grown man, and he's you know, he's definitely no weakling. So you know, he's given Spider-Man a run for his money several times. So very, very nice portrayal of the character in this figure. I like it a whole bunch. All right, so all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the accessories he comes with. So I'm gonna slide him to the side for just a minute. Now, I actually have the alternate head on him right now. I switched out the heads when I took him out the package, and I also, you know, switched out the hands for the two fists. But out of the package, he actually comes with this head on right here. All right, this kind of more smirking head, right? Very nicely detailed. Again, the color on this thing looks absolutely amazing. Really, really love the paint job. The eyes and everything, the overall sculpt for the face is excellent, man. All those wrinkles, like in the, you know, the furrowed brow and everything, like you can see all the wrinkles in his forehead, and the you know, the kind of wrinkles and indents going around like his mouth and everything. The face, it's like excuse me, face has like a really you know, just a really nice sculpt overall. I think this is definitely one of the better, you know, Hasbro sculpts. The eyes, I really like the color of the eyes. Hopefully you guys can see that on camera. It seems like they're almost like a reddish orange color. Let me see if I look up close. Yeah, they're like a orange color, really. Like an orange or really light red. The pupils and everything in there is super nicely detailed. Let's see how much focus we can get, how zoomed in we can get on this. Let's see. I have to back it up a little bit. Okay, yeah. Hopefully you guys are able to see that. I know the lighting probably isn't the best right now, but yeah, he's got some really nice paintwork for the eyes. It's like super detailed, down to like the pupils, the iris, all of that. You can really see that in there. But yeah, and then it seems like I'm trying to see if he has shading. Yeah, it seems like there's a little bit of shading, which definitely helps like those details stand out, like the wrinkles in his cheeks and whatnot. Like all those like little indentations in his skin really stand out because of the kind of shading style that they did, which looks really, really good. That's the type of stuff that brings a figure to life. So I love that. The mouth looks pretty nice as well. The teeth are a little bit fuzzy in the middle there. Seems like there's just like a little bit of black that kind of, kind of makes his, like in the middle of his mouth there, it kind of makes the teeth look a little gunky. But I mean, overall, still a really nice sculpt and paint for those teeth, the lips, everything looks pretty good. Even the hair, very nice sculpt for the hair. It's got that kind of flat top going, but very nice, sculpt for the individual strands in the hair. It looks very realistic. Yeah, this is a really nice head sculpt. Now, I don't know why Hasbro did this. Hasbro, like I said, man, every time they give us something nice, they got to take something nice away too. So, for whatever reason, with these alternate heads, they decided to sculpt the head and neck together, which they never do, or at least not normally. Usually, you can always like pop the head off of the neck. In this case, they decided to sculpt it together. So you have, yeah, you got that. So the neck is connected to the ball peg, and the head itself doesn't pop off of the neck. It's all one piece. So yeah, that's unfortunate. That actually limits his head articulation quite a bit, which we'll see when we get into play and display. So that's not great, but Hasbro being Hasbro. So there's that head. For your alternate hands, you have this one, this kind of like open hand, which is really, really nicely sculpted as well. Nice paintwork. Kind of like, reaching out, about to grip something hand. Menacing grip coming towards you, right? But very nice paintwork on it. Nice sculpt for like the lines in the palm and the wrinkles of the hand. Really, really nicely done. Nice color, matches his skin and everything very, very well. And yeah, even got some fingernails sculpted into there. Looks really, really good. Let's see, get some focus on it. Yeah, sorry, the light isn't the best right now. It's kind of tricky finding what time the sun is gonna come out over here. And I kind of had to like plan this review out because I do have some other things to do today, so I had to get this review done earlier. But hopefully you guys are able to see the details within this hand. And by the way, before I forget, I want to mention that July, this month, is going to be a heavy, heavy Spider-Man month. All right. What do I mean by that? That means basically all or like almost all of the content that you see in July is going to be very heavily Spider-Man based. So Spider-Man, figure reviews, just Spider-Man content overall. We're going to see different things. We're going to talk about comics, movies, but pretty much everything Spider-Man is going to have to do with, this month. So get ready for that. That's not to say that there won't be, other reviews and other characters or content discussed or, uploaded, but this is going to be a heavy, heavy month for Spider-Man. We got Brand New Day coming out at the end of the month. I'm super excited. I already got my tickets. Cannot wait for that. Me and my buddy Joe and Frankie are going to go see that actually on the 30th, so like the day before it comes out, so that we can get some of that cool Spider merch. And yeah, so we're we're super excited about that. But yeah, this is gonna be a big, big month for Spider-Man. So just be prepared for all that. All right, just wanted to put that out there. All right, and then we have this extra hand, which is like a kind of gripping hand. This is a good hand for him to hold his crowbar. Pretty much the only hand that he can actually hold it in. But it as well also has a very nice sculpt. Again, that color looks really good. Nice paintwork on it. There isn't really any shading. Any like darker parts that you see on the hand right now is just really just the shadows from the light. But yeah, he's got some nice veins sculpted at the top of his hand there. That looks really, really good. Definitely gives it a more realistic look. And yeah, so that is his gripping hand. And this one actually has a vertical hinge, which is perfect. Hasbro finally listened, right? Probably to Anthony's Customs because he's mentioned it several times, but you always want to have a vertical hinge for the weapon holding hand so that you can, get the hand to kind of do, that motion up and down and kind of, swivel the sword or whatever it is you're holding in a kind of like lateral motion. So that is really nice that they did it for that one. And that other gripping hand that you guys just saw, that one has a horizontal hinge, so it's going to move in and out, away from the body and towards the body. All right, and the last accessory he comes with is, of course, his trusty crowbar, which is done in a pretty nice, kind of gray, like gunmetal gray plastic. Obviously it would look a little bit better if it had like more of a metallic finish. Like it's definitely done in that kind of like cheaper looking plastic, but I mean it does still look really good. It reflects enough light, and I think it's got the right color overall. So you got that kind of gunmetal gray color for this crowbar, but it does have a really nice sculpt, and it's gonna get the job done. So yeah, he can break into all types of places with this crowbar. All right. But yeah, so that's pretty much all his accessories. Let's get into play and display. All right. Let's see how well he articulates. So we'll start off with the head, since I already mentioned that it is pretty bad as far as articulation. Just get the bad out the way. Let's see. So yeah, being that the head and the neck are one piece, he can't look down all that well. I mean, he can kind of, like, you can push the neck forward a little bit, but I mean, looking down, he's really not looking down very far, right? Like, his chin is still way above his chest. So yeah, you've only got about that much motion going forward and down. As far as going back and up, he only gets about that much. So again, very limited, not very good. Don't know why they decided to make the head and neck one piece, but like I said, Hasbro being Hasbro. You can at least rotate though, so obviously the neck is going to rotate with the head. But yeah, you do at least get a 360 with the ball peg. You get just the slightest bit of leaning to each side, not too much to really make him, expressive, but you do get a little bit in there. As far as the arms, you do have a hinge, ball and hinge shoulders, which allow him to get pretty much like a perfect T-pose, or maybe just shy of it, but he is able to get him, out to the side at least. Not quite a straight line, it's a little bit shy of a T-pose, but, that's kind of just due to the sculpt of his shoulders. Hitting the jacket only allows the arms to go up about that far, but I guess that's decent. Comes back down to his sides. He does have some nice, rotation on that ball. 360 windmill action for the arm. And you have a bicep swivel in there. Nice bicep swivel cut. Bicep rotation. Very, very nice. Pretty smooth. And you have a double jointed elbow, which actually works really, really well. You get a very deep bend with the elbow. Looks really good. He can basically touch, top of his shoulder or his clavicle area. So that's really good. Nice deep bend. Doesn't look too bad either as far as like the cut. Pretty smooth transition, so that's good. And the hands do, of course, rotate. They're on hinges. These two fists are on, it seems like horizontal hinges, so they do, come in towards the body and away from the body, like that. And that actually looks pretty good in there. Not too shabby. Doesn't seem like there's gonna be paint rub or anything against like his sleeves or anything in there. So that looks pretty good. Nice cut, nice separation, preventing some paint rub, so that's good. All right. And for the torso, I can't really get in under like his jacket to see how it works in there. I don't know if he has like a diaphragm joint or like the double ball peg setup, but he is able to lean forward at least pretty decent. He can go forward about that far without doing too much. And obviously, as you push him to the max, the bottom of his jacket might get a little bit creased, so just be aware of that. You might not want to force him, forward too much, but he's able to get some decent range bending forward from that like lower waist area. Bending backwards, he gets about that much, which is again decent, not great, but kind of limited, but you know, it is what it is. Let's see, he does get rotation at this lower part of the waist, so he can rotate side to side in the torso, so that's good, or at least at the waist area. And then as far as his legs, we'll do out to the side first. He doesn't get a perfect splits as you'd probably expect, but he does get decently close. That's a decent spread. Out to the side, so about that far. All right, and then you do have a cut for the thighs, thigh swivel cut. So you get some rotation at the upper thigh area. And it is pretty seamless, you know, blends in pretty nice with the rest of the leg, so that's nice. As far as your knees, double jointed, of course. So you can get all the way back. You can basically get him kicking his lower back, which is nice. Very, very nice range there. And let's see, kicking forward, he gets pretty much just about a perfect 90, or maybe like just shy of it. Yeah, I'd say just about a perfect 90. Kicking forward, kicking backwards. It's only going to go about that much before hitting the sculpt, so you know what you'd expect from a Hasbro Marvel Legends. And for the feet, he can hinge down all the way to the tippy toe. All right, or just about, yeah, just about to the tippy toe. And he can kick up about that far with the shoe, which is decent, okay. And he does have, it's on a ball and hinge, so he actually can rotate the foot side to side, the entire foot. Can actually go like all the way around if you really wanted to, like that. And you also have a nice steep ankle rocker pivot action in there, so you can swivel the foot or the ankle side to side like that. So yeah, and I will say that this being a suited body, a lot of these suited bodies in the past for you know, Hasbro Marvel Legends, a lot of them usually have like bad feet and they can't stand very well. This guy actually does stand very well. Like as soon as I got him out of package, I was able to stand him up very easily. He doesn't feel like he's gonna fall over. He actually has a pretty nice balance and weight distribution, so that is nice. Definitely wanted to mention that. See that? Like he's able to stand very well on his own, doesn't feel like he's gonna fall over. He doesn't feel wobbly. So yeah, very, very nice. I'm glad that he's a well-balanced figure, because a lot of the suited body figures from Marvel Legends do tend to fall over a lot. They're not able to hold their weight very well, like that Stan Lee or the J. Jonah Jameson figure. Man, those guys are so frustrating trying to stand up. I literally have to use like a Mayfix stand pretty much every time to try to get those guys to stand up properly. But yeah, so there is your Tombstone and all his articulation. I guess forgot to cover real quick. He does get a little bit of leaning side to side, like just the slightest amount. It's really not much to make like a huge difference. But he does get just that slightest bit of leaning to each side. So yeah, you do have that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is Tombstone. I guess I'll show you. Sometimes I do forget to show this range in the arm. You know, as far as like coming, he doesn't have like a butterfly joint or anything like that. It's just a basic ball and hinge for the shoulders. So no cut for a butterfly. That would probably, you know, mess up the sculpt of his very nice suit anyways. So I'm not tripping about that. He can get the arms to kind of come across the body just a little bit. It's really not going to cross his chest much, but you can get them, the arms coming forward about that much. And then as far as swinging back, if you use that kind of like hinge joint in the shoulder, it comes basically straight out to the side. You're not going to get it much farther back than that. You know, definitely don't want to push it too much because you would stress the plastic, maybe break the arm off. So I wouldn't recommend pushing his arm back much farther than that. But you can always like manipulate this right and then angle the hinge backwards, and then you can have his arm. Let's see, yeah, you can have his arm coming a little. You can make his arm come back that far. It's just a matter of basically positioning the hinge so that it can swing backwards, and you can get the arm coming back at least straight back. maybe not behind his back, but at least, you know, in a straight line back like that. So definitely wanted to mention that. Sometimes I forget to mention that range of movement in the arms, so I apologize about that. A lot of figures are usually capable of getting that motion, even if they don't have like a butterfly joint. Usually they can swing, you know, a decent distance forward and back and across the body or behind the back. So there is that. But yeah, that is your guy Tombstone. So all that being said, we will get into some size comparisons. All right, so let's get this guy, you know, standing next to some adversaries and allies. All right, and some randos, just people to pair him up with, basically. All right, so let me move the camera back a bit so we can see everybody. All right, so we'll put Tombstone in the middle here. All right, first up, we'll do a Lightning Collection comparison. So we'll bring in the newly reviewed Quantum Ranger custom Lightning Collection figure by Power Rangers fan _12 on Instagram. Oh, love this figure. I still got to do the touch-ups on him, but I got to say he's just like a beautiful figure overall, man. I can't stop looking at him. Love having him posed up with the Quantum Defender there. Such a nice looking figure. And on his other side, we will get the other custom I have from Power Rangers fan _12, the Lightning Collection Wild Force Red Ranger on this side. I know we didn't get to see these two together in size comparisons, the Rangers that is. So now you get to see how they scale together. But yeah, looking really, really nice. Tombstone is definitely a bit bigger than each one, so I like that a lot. Tombstone's got a nice stature to him, a nice height, very imposing, so I like that a whole lot. So there's your Lightning Collection comparisons. And we'll bring in some, let's see, we'll do some Marvel Legends. So we'll do the Maximum Spider-Man. Put him on this side, actually. Here we have the Maximum Spider-Man Marvel Legends. Back the camera up a little bit this way. And we're bringing an old school Marvel Legends figure. We have the Ares Build-A-Figure Wave Human Torch. Still one of my favorite Human Torch figures, for sure. Alright, you can see how the three of them stack up. Looking pretty good, pretty good, like that. Tombstone's definitely bigger than Spider-Man. I like that. He's got actually like a decent amount of height over Spider-Man, which I like. Definitely looks like a bigger guy. Like he looks more of like this. He's technically like a grown man, but he still looks more of like a teenager almost, kind of, compared to Tombstone. Tombstone looks a lot bigger and a little more imposing, so I like that. And again, like the height over him. Yeah, I think that looks really good. Same thing with the Human Torch there. So there's your comparisons for them. All right, keeping it moving along. We'll do some DC. We got the DC class, or what is it? This guy always has a long name. DC Universe Classics New 52 style All Stars Batman. Super long name. I gotta find a shorter name for this guy, but yeah, we got that Batman right here, and we have the Ocean Master from McFarlane Toys. All right, so I know we haven't seen this guy in a long time, so I figured we'd bring him back in the picture. Here is the McFarlane Toys Ocean Master, 7-inch scale, alongside them, and Ocean Master actually, I think his head's down a little bit. Let me raise, yeah, again, I'm looking a little more forward. Ocean Master is actually not that much taller than Tombstone, which is interesting. That goes to show you just how big this Tombstone is. So if I had to guess, Tombstone's probably at least like 6.5 inches, probably around the same scale or height as the Legacy Dino Thunder White. So he's definitely a little bit bigger, and I like that. Very good scaling there. But yeah, so there's those two. Moving right along. For some Mafex comparisons, we got the in-game Captain America right here on this side. And on his opposite side, we'll get the, we'll just do this Toy Biz Marvel Legends Sentinel Build-A-Figure Wave Cyclops. And I think that looks pretty good. Tombstone is still the largest for sure. By quite a bit. Yeah, he's got some nice height over these guys, so I like that. Definitely a bigger, yeah, more imposing figure, so I like it. So let's move these guys out the way. For some more villain action, we got the Toy Biz movie Green Goblin right here from Spider-Man. And for an SH Figure Arts, we got the Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi. Alright. And obviously Obi-Wan is much smaller, as he should be. And Green Goblin is actually quite a bit smaller too. Green Goblin is actually around basically the same height as Obi-Wan. Or maybe even a little bit smaller, so that's interesting. But yeah, there you go. And for Black Series, we have the Sabine Wren from Ahsoka and the Shin Hati from Ahsoka. And those two ladies scale pretty nicely with him as well. He's definitely got a towering height over each one, so I like that a whole bunch. Yeah, he's a tall guy. I like it, man. He looks very intimidating, which is dope. And to finish it off, from the Bandai 5.5-inch line, we got the Lightspeed Rescue Pink Ranger. And we'll bring in the Spider-Sense Spider-Man from Toy Biz. This is the one with the white eyes and that red and blue. So yeah, that's gonna do it for your size comparison. So there it is, guys. Thank you so much for watching this review. Like I said, this is gonna be a heavy Spider-Man month, July, so be ready for a whole bunch of Spider-Man content coming your way. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this review. Comment down below what you think. What are your thoughts on the figure? Do you own this figure? What do you think about it? And are you a fan of Tombstone? Let me know in the comments down below and we'll talk. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.